He works really hard. It's crazy. It's always a good thing when the person on your team who's getting paid the most amount of money, getting the most attention. He's so busy doing everything, but man, you just see him work, and he works harder than almost everybody on the team.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Wisdom Wednesday presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. The wisdom today comes from a young man who's off to a terrific start in his NFL career. Eagles Pro Bowl center Cam Jurgens. Want to talk to him about playing through that injury in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. He had back surgery in the offseason, got a new contract. He's got a new business, or he's got a business he's had going for a while. So a lot to get to with Cam. I think the Eagles fans especially will love it, but everybody will love it. Nebraska, it'll be awesome. Some very intriguing news in the NFL, by the way, to get to as it relates to collusion in the NFL, and some Aaron Rodgers news, which I'll get to after we talk with Cam Jurgens. Programming note, not sure yet if the last show this week, the Greg Cosell episode, will be Thursday or Friday. I've got a couple different Jason Kelsey related charity events the next couple days. Today, I'm doing the guest bartending at the Ocean Drive in Sea Isle. Tomorrow, I'll be doing the Beer Bowl with Connor Barwin. So, first of all, make sure you're checking out my social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Secondly, depending on how those events go, I don't know when I'm recording the show. Tomorrow or Friday, we will figure that part of it out, but I'll have some stories to tell, that's for sure. But follow me on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. And I haven't picked winners yet for this week. So rate and review the show, or take advantage of any of the sponsors you hear on the show, like Game Time or any of the other ones, Smirnoff, Labatt. Send them to me, Ross at RossTucker.com. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
Man, I've enjoyed watching this guy play, really going back to watching his college tape at Nebraska. But then I was doing the show for the Eagles when they drafted him, and heard Stoutland, the offensive line coach, and Jason Kelsey talking about him. And then, man, he made that his rookie year. He made the preseason games a lot more fun and entertaining for me, with him pulling around and kicking ass. He's Cam Jurgens, the Pro Bowl center for the Philadelphia Eagles, coming off not only a Super Bowl, but he got a really nice contract as well. Cam, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on. You have been talking about my name since I first started there with the Eagles, saying watch out. So I appreciate, all the publicity you gave me, and it's been a fun 3 years so far with the Eagles, that's for sure.
All right, so I gotta start with this, dude. Is that like a one of the fake backgrounds, or is that really what is behind you right now?
No, that's real. I'm just not a green screen, but it's good Nebraska clouds right there. It was raining last night, a little stormy. Some days are going to be bright, shiny, and the next it's going to be downpouring on you.
Well, that's beautiful. So that's awesome. I'll start with this, man, because I had a back surgery when I played for the Bills. How's it feeling? How you doing?
It's feeling a lot better. I mean, it takes a little bit to get over the hump, but still, playing through that pain, I feel like a new man. It feels like completely different. So it's nice to, keep getting back and going through rehab and training and get to play a season healthy. So I'm excited.
I don't know what your exact injury is. I'm not going to ask it, but I can tell you, I felt better immediately after the surgery. Like the pain I was having wasn't there, but then so it's so funny, Cam. I didn't even know, like, we didn't know if I needed surgery until they did some test. I was only getting like 30% of the nerve signal down to my right foot. So I'd be like in a residential neighborhood and my anterior tibialis would get so fatigued. I put my cruise control on 24 miles an hour because I
Mhm.
like it was that bad with my lower right leg. And so just for that to be normal and to not be in that constant pain, I could take like the post-surgery soreness over like the back pain any day. Did you feel immediate relief?
Yeah, a lot of that nerve, it helps with the nerve pain a lot. You're going to get that relief pretty quick, and then it's just tightness and stiffness and working through it, and the normal stuff after surgery. But still, post-op to pre-op, it was so much better.
Were you nervous at all that the back surgery might have the Eagles kind of wait a little bit to give you the big contract that you got? Wait till training camp or the season or after the season. Did that ever cross your mind like, oh man, I might not get my deal now because of this surgery?
I mean, maybe a little, but at the end of the day, I just got to worry about what I can control. And I needed surgery, so I did everything I could to play through it and play through the season. But yeah, I mean, I needed to get surgery. That was known, and I played hard and did everything I could for the Eagles, and figured they would value that at the end of the day, and they really did. They value a line at the Eagles, and I'm happy to stay here for another 4 years, and hopefully we get to stay here longer. I love it with the Eagles, and they value that hard work and playing through stuff, and I mean I couldn't be at a better spot, that's for sure.
It's funny. I didn't I like intentionally don't ask questions about stuff like that because I know you guys aren't allowed to tell me and I don't want to know anyway. Like I want like plausible deniability. So I didn't know much about your back until the NFC Championship game. And I was on the sideline for that game for radio. And, when they said, Landon was starting, I was really surprised you were still active for the game. I was not expecting that at all. And then you played the second half. And I could tell you were stiff, dude. I could tell. I've been there, bro. I know what that's like. I just want you to take me through that week and that day. And maybe you can tell me when your back started to bother you or whatever. But that week, and in particular that day where it's like, okay, my back's killing me. I can't play, but they're going to keep me up in emergency. Oh no, Landon's hurt. Now I got to play like that. That was a heck of a week, dude.
I mean, it was just a brutal week. I mean, when you got a bad back, and the back's like sometimes not even the worst problem. What you're saying with your leg, it's like you can't don't have feeling and everything, so you're just trying to get through the week. I mean, just sleeping, walking, those activities are tough when you're in a position like that. And gosh, just trying to get through the week and do everything I can to get ready for the game and get my mindset prepared to go play. And it's just I'm not able to practice, not able to do much all week, and just trying to get my mind in the game and know what our game plan is and do everything I can to play. And then you get to the game and do your best to warm up and see how it feels. And you just got to be honest with the coaches and trainers. And I'm like, hey, it doesn't feel good. I can go out there and play, but I don't know if I'd be one of the best five. I think the best thing for the team is to go that route, have Landon start at center. But I'm like, it's the NFC Championship game. Let's go to the Super Bowl. Like I want to make sure I'm there. It's a football game. You never know what's going to happen. So I'm going to be emergency player, be ready to go, and so just try to stay as warm as I can on the sideline. Then during the game, exactly what happens a lot of times. I'm looking out there, Landon's hurting. I just remember looking at the coach. I'm like, hey, I'm hurt, but I think I can go out there and play the second half. I don't think I'm that bad. So which just made it happen for the guys.
Well, that I tell Eagles fans a lot. What you and Landon did those last few weeks, I hope that they appreciate that greatly. I know my listeners know my fourth year is when I was dealing with it, but I had already signed a 3-year extension, so I had a big playing time bonus. So I was playing, but I remember like the last game If we won, we made the playoffs in Buffalo. My wife like had to tie my shoes when I left the house, and man, it was so weird, Cam, because I was so upset that we lost, but I was so happy the season was over, and I didn't have to put myself through that pain anymore, and like all the stuff I was taking and all that stuff. What was the difference between NFC Championship game and Super Bowl for you? Like, why were you able to then play in the Super Bowl and start and whatever as opposed to the NFC Championship?
Uh, I got an epidural shot that kind of helped calm it down. And so it helped a little bit, just enough to get through. It's kind of like a Band-Aid. You're just trying to get through play the Super Bowl and then, get surgery for it. But yeah, that was, I mean, just going through another 2 weeks for the Super Bowl, it just extends it that much longer. I just remember like being in the hotel in New Orleans, and it's just such a big, long hotel. Like just walking from the room to get food and the meetings was just brutal. Just all the walking, it was so long, and I'm like, man, I'm so tired of the media. I'm so tired of doing all the walking to this, walking to that, seeing that, and I'm like, I just want to play a game. Let's just do this, and it just prolongs it that much longer.
That is funny. I know they're very different feelings, so I want you to break down both of them. Number one, winning the Super Bowl, and then number two, getting a life altering financial security contract. So take them one at a time. I know they're different and they're both special for their own reasons, but I'm curious to know what both of those feel because I never got either one. Never won a Super Bowl, and I never had, a truly, life altering contract like the one you just signed.
I feel like, it's hard to put into words right now. I think, 10, 20 years from now, I could probably divulge a lot more on it. Winning Super Bowls, that's going to be a title for me for the rest of my life. Super Bowl champion, Cam Jurgens. It's like, people are going to say that before your name forever. It's like you go to school for 10 years, become a doctor, and they're like, oh, doctor so-and-so. And so it's hard to really think just how much that's going to affect me in my life. I think I've already seen it with everybody in Philly going through the parade. I knew like winning the Super Bowl is such a life goal and an accomplishment. It's like all the hard work I've ever done, all the long days and hard work and all the teams I've been a part of from all the way from like little league to high school to college and NFL. Just like everything was building to that point. And to finally get there and to win it, it's crazy and surreal. But the point that really hit me was at the Super Bowl parade and seeing people in Philly now. It's just like millions of people, and I think my life has changed. And I just get to see people in that city just react the way they do, and it's just like, man, not only did I change my life, but like I changed their lives, and that was the coolest thing. Just the feeling in Philly, it was just nothing like it. Going out to restaurants, like people feel like they owe me something, and I'm like, hey, I got it. I got the Super Bowl champ. This is you guys don't owe me anything. I'm just doing my job and living out my dream, and it's just crazy to think, how much it changed their lives and so on. And then, getting a new contract, you work so hard to earn it. And, I feel like I did everything I could to earn that. And now it's just like you're going to work even harder to prove it. And you have that much more on your shoulders to, continue to prove why they paid me. Whenever I look at a contract like that, I always think, they're not paying me for what I did. They're going to pay me for what they think I'm going to do. And I just have to go out there and do it now. And so that's, it's not changing anything I'm doing. I'm still going to be the same person, work the same amount. And so it hasn't really changed anything with my lifestyle or nothing like that. I think down the road, it's going to be nice having that security. But for the main part, I'm just glad I'm staying with the Eagles, get some more years added on there. And it's such a great organization. It's like I'm saying, it's hard to put into words because it hasn't really changed anything about me. but it's gonna nice to have that money and security for me and my family, down the road for the rest of my life.
Are you still doing the beef jerky company, or now that you're set for life, did you shut that down, or is it full speed ahead?
No, we still got the beef jerky company. I'm very excited about it. There's been so many opportunities coming to us, and honestly, it's hard to keep up with everything. But it's still such a fun project. It's just incredible to run a business with one of my best friends and my mom. Getting to grow that and see how far we can take it. But yeah, just because I got all this money doesn't mean I'm just going to pump everything into it and blow it up. I still want to have it be small and grow organically and see where we can take it and have it, be a sufficient business. And so the behind that, we'll see. We got a lot of good stuff in the plan and see where it takes us.
So a couple of things. One is I've had it; it's delicious. And secondly, Cam's rookie year, Kelsey was hurt, so Cam was playing a bunch in the preseason. And they had you pulling all over the place, and you were playing great. And it was awesome for me as a former O lineman doing the games on TV to circle you on the telestrator and point you out. Uh, but I don't know if you remember the story, but I remember 2 weeks in a row I mentioned beef jerky and your website and everything. And you sold out. Or refresh my memory. Your mom was like, or you said, we're having some distribution issues. What happened with me mentioning? It's unbelievable, isn't it? Like just mentioning on TV, like how much of a difference that makes. Tell my listeners the story.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was rookie year, and that was like a year or so into like our jerky company. And that was back when my mom was still shipping every single jerky out. Every order she was shipping it out. She would get the bags of jerky from the locker and send it out herself. And so we didn't have the infrastructure at that time to handle national publicity like you gave us. But it's been such a great thing. We've been growing since, and we can handle things like that now. She's not having to ship out every order. But that was so fun. There was like a few instances of that. I remember when we went to the combine, they mentioned it, just seeing my phone and be like, oh well, I think we just sold out. My mom's like, I'm sending them all out. And then the same thing happened with preseason. So it's just trying to stockpile it up. And so we've helped our infrastructure out, built it up a lot better now, and we're able to handle stuff like that. But man, that was so fun. My mom getting to watch the games and then see all the orders come in. Think, she's a retired school teacher, so she did have a lot of time to send those out. But I mean, that's a lot for one person to handle. And we're actually with a group out in Pennsylvania now, Stony Point, and they make a lot of our jerky and send it out, and they've been incredible to work with. So we've upped that department a lot, and so it's kind of fun being a small business owner and finding the headaches and growing pains and building it up, and little by little you're gonna keep getting better. And that was a big stepping stone for us, and I appreciate you a ton for that.
Well, I appreciate you. I mean, you were making the games more entertaining. It was awesome. And I got a few small businesses. Plus, it's just awesome. Your last name's Jurgens, Beef Jurgy. You're an O lineman from Nebraska. It's like a movie. Everything about it's great. I remember, I don't know if I saw you after the game, but you came up to me and you're like, you did it again, didn't you? I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I made it. Because your mom texted you or something and was like, he did it again.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going out there playing, you don't know what's going on in the world. You're just so dialed into the game. And then I get up and see my mom text me like, "We got a bunch of orders again, sending them out." I'm like, "All right, good, good."
That is awesome. What are you planning Cam to be like? Do you think you'll be good for camp, or do you know?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, that's all the plan, trying to be and do everything I can, especially for that first game.
What are you thinking about? It looks like you'll have another new right guard this year. Maybe not another new, but you'll have a right guard this year. What do you think about that that competition. And I guess, you've been around Tyler for a couple years now. You played next to him. I'm guessing you probably feel pretty comfortable working with Tyler at this point.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think he's gonna step in there and do a great job. I think we got a bunch of good guards that have came in. It's going to be some good, healthy competition throughout camp. I think it's always good going into camp season with some competition at some spots, and see who truly plays the best and earns that spot. So I'm excited for those guys. I think there's a few that can fit in there and earn that spot. So I'll be watching that closely. That's for sure. I feel comfortable, with Steen, and I'm excited to grow that comfort with some more guys over there.
What's one thing about Jalen Hurts, since you're the center and you work with him a lot? What's one thing about him that maybe people wouldn't know or wouldn't think about him, just based on what they see from how he talks to the media or whatever?
Uh, I'd say he works hard, man. He works really hard. It's crazy. It's always a good thing when the person on your team who's getting paid the most amount of money, getting the most attention, magazine covers, doing this, doing that, and you think he's so busy doing everything, but man, you just see him work, and he works harder than almost everybody on the team, and it's just impressive to watch somebody of that stature and that magnitude just go in, day out, and work hard, and just show everybody the example of what you should be doing.
And then the last one, Cam, do you feel, I don't know what the right word is, but obviously you had big shoes to fill with Kelsey retiring. And then last year you make the Pro Bowl and you guys win the Super Bowl. I don't know what the word is. Is it relief? Is it gratification? Is it none of those things? Because there was pressure on you, right? Like you're kind of replacing a legend.
Hmm. Yeah, I think just focus in on what I can do. Try not to fill his shoes. Just try to fill my own shoes, and don't follow in anybody's steps to try to do exactly what somebody else is doing. You always got to be true to yourself and believe that what you got's good enough, and just keep getting better. And always just try to focus on what I can control and what I can do. And I didn't create the narrative in the media, filling his shoes or living under that shadow and trying to get you know myself established. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of relief, especially from the media. It seemed like going into last season, every day I'll get questions from like, how are you going to fill his shoes? What's the team going to look like now? Like, what's going to happen? How much did he mean to everything? And how is it going to work now? And it's just like, I don't know. I'm just going to do my job and do it the best I can and move on from there. And we had a great year, so I think I get out of that shadow a little bit with the media, but it was crazy. It's just like every time I talked, it was just nonstop questions about that. And then the season started, played well, and I don't think I got any of them questions during the year.
Hey, you got to check him out on social media. It's at Cam Jurgens on Twitter, at Beef Jurgy on Instagram, and the website is jurgy.co. He's got an incredible picture of he and the rest of the O line. Man, your website is significantly upgraded from a few years ago. I hadn't checked it out. I'm so glad you're doing that, man. Keep up the great work. Congrats on the Super Bowl, the contract, all those things. I'm sure I'll see you in July and August for sure, being around the team with the preseason games. Thanks so much, Cam, for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
Sounds good. Yeah, you're going to have to let me know when you come out to camp.
All right, let's dive into the news. But first, if you guys are anything like me, you love going to live events. Doesn't matter whether it's sports, comedy, concerts. I love it, and I love the Game Time app. By far the best way to get tickets for anything, because you can see the view from your seat. They have the lowest price guarantee. The fees are actually included, which is huge. Plus the last minute deals on all kinds of events, including 10% off exclusive zone deals for FIFA World Cup matchups. Check out the FIFA World Cup club games. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Just create an account and use code ROSS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create that account, redeem code ROSS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, I'm just going to tell you about some of these things. Smirnoff Espresso Martini. My wife loves that. Smirnoff Bloody Mary. I'm not a Bloody Mary guy, but I know a lot of people that are. Smirnoff's Hot Pink Cosmo. Oh, that's me. That's totally me. Hot Pink Cosmo. Smirnoff Lemon Drop Martini. Smirnoff Strawberry Smash. Smirnoff Dirty Martini. Smirnoff Kissed Caramel Mule. Smirnoff Kissed Caramel Apple Cider. I'm not making these up. They are all at Smirnoff.com, which is where you should go after you get a bottle of Smirnoff at your local retailer. So many recipes for delicious cocktails, perfect for game day, which every day of the weekend in the summer is. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Tux Takes.
All right, Ross, both Pablo Torre and Mike Florio, they got their hands on an arbitrator ruling in the NFL collusion case.
Yeah, listen, I'm not overly surprised by this. I guess I sort of assumed whether they actually discussed it, whether it was proven to be collusion, which is interesting because it sounds like, the arbitrator said, yes, they colluded, but it didn't hurt the players, so there's no damages. I'm a little bit confused on that. But I think ever since Deshaun Watson got that contract and nobody else has gotten fully guaranteed since then, whether they verbalized it in a meeting or not, I thought it was pretty clear that the NFL had kind of decided amongst themselves, we can't have this. We can't be giving guys fully guaranteed 5-year deals. So kudos to Pablo Torre and Mike Florio for getting the information. I would say, I guess, I'm not overly surprised.
And Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, he told Pat McAfee this is probably his last year.
Not surprised by this either, right? I think he's getting to the point, let's be honest. The Steelers are the only team that wanted him. He better do this before he can't find a place. He's got no place else to go. So not surprised by this. That's always subject to change if he has a terrific year. We'll have to see how it goes. But both of these news items that get a lot of attention were not really big surprises to me. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network on Samsung TV Plus, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. It is by far the best gift you can get a loved one. And remember, when we talk about being a sponsor confirmation winner for the week, you're guaranteed to be a winner and for me to send you an autograph if you go ahead and get a story for a loved one from myfrontpagestory.com. But you have to send me the email, ross@rosstucker.com, backofficescheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.